of 7 hours and 10 minutes per day during the autumn and spring months. How much of a shadow? It would cover 62.4% of the Annabella Vilas playground. That's not my analysis. That's not GHD. That's their analysis. 62.4% of the playground will be covered for 7 hours and 10 minutes per day. And that's during the autumn and spring months. And May and August, which were the other 2 months analyzed, 9 hours, 52 minutes. 1/5 of the playground during those months will be covered in shadows and darkness. If you think about it, it makes a lot of sense, right? You're putting up 112 and 108, 120 and 108-foot buildings right next to a playground on either side, right above, right next to on either side of the playground. I'm talking about like bookend. Okay, that's what you're looking at. And on the one hand, they say they're not going to be significant incremental shadow impacts in the summary section, but when you look in the fine print, you see it's actually dramatic, very dramatic shadow impacts. And this is just one example. Now, I have asked members of Save Manhattan Valley to bring and provide you with copies of illustrations that appear in the Habib report. And you can see that the playground is in complete darkness for extended periods throughout the day. And that's just one example of the 19 areas of environmental impacts. Now, I want to emphasize to you that, and I know that some of you here are here tonight because you support the project. Let me tell you something. You don't know anything about me. I'm some guy in a suit you've never met before, but I'm telling you, we're a law firm that represents the disabled. We sue on behalf of insurance companies. We represent people against developers. We are precisely the type of law firm you would hire if you knew about all the issues that I've spoken to about tonight. You'd be calling us. I'm just telling you, I don't know whose phone is on, but I appreciate you turn off. My point to you is, this is a very serious project and it has very significant environmental issues. I would encourage, I'll just finish. I would encourage you all, one second, I would encourage you all to look into the 3,000 other available sites where this project could be placed, including on Amsterdam Avenue within the district.
Here's what we're going to do. We're not going to clap. If you like what somebody says at the end of their speech, go like this. Okay?
Roberta, hang on 1 second, please. Mr. Hiller, the organization whose report you reference, is it GHB as in boy? D as in David. Thank you.
Who are the next speakers?
I've read it, I just don't have it in front of me.
Could I also ask, since I just counted, we have over 100 people wanting to speak this evening, that you certainly need to be acknowledged, but if you say the same thing that somebody else said to you before, all you need to do is come forward, give your name, and say that you're either for or against, and your comments have already been considered. Then please submit them in writing to the community board. Otherwise, this will be a very long meeting.
And I promise the minutes will look the same as if you set it up.
Yes.
If you can line up, it'll make it easier.
Okay, so the next two are Geraldine Miller.
Oh boy, I came right on.
Then Hoffner, followed by Kelly Williams and Carmen Quinones. Thank you. Geraldine Miller, here I am. Okay.
Come up. And the next speakers, could you come up, please? So we save time. Let's get in line behind Geraldine.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for showing up for this beautiful thought and I hope construction. I am Geraldine Miller. My nickname is Jerry. I lived at Valley Lodge, directed by Karen Jorgensen, run by the West Side Federation. I also lived at city-run shelters, and I was able to see the difference between shelters. Being a former homeless person, I wouldn't wish anyone to go through of uncertainty, frustration, and hopelessness. I'm grateful I ended at Valley Lodge, a place that provides quality conditions and gives us dignity and care, even though we're homeless. They provide food, clothes, and also provide 4 beds to a bedroom instead of 100 beds on a floor in a gym like the city does. There is no comparison. Valley Lodge changed my life. It helped me learn how to manage my finances, which is just Social Security for a senior citizen, which isn't much, but it's something, and made me able to live at the West Side owned Marseille apartment. Their support, Valley Lodge and West Side Federation, made a positive impact in my life. Most of us senior citizens can't afford to continue living here in New York City, and it doesn't mean that we never worked or never paid taxes. After Valley Lodge, I was able to move to permanent housing, and Valley Lodge program helped me save money to start on my own and to continue living in this neighborhood. Currently, I'm residing at Marseille. All right, sorry.
Hello, my name is Carmen Quinones. Hello, my name is Carmen Quinones, and I am the president of Douglas Houses, with over 5,000 residents. Most of these seniors here are Douglas Houses seniors also. You know, I think this is a shame for, with so many spaces available, why isn't the opposition helping people connect with the new spaces? Maybe they don't want new long-term affordable housing in this area. Parking was supposed to be temporary. 65 years of temporary is enough. It is time the land was used for affordable housing, not temporary parking. Even in Douglas houses, we're facing people from Riverside Drive coming and taking our parking spaces. We're fighting that. So how much parking do you really want? Jesus Christ, maybe you should go back to the bicycle lanes and cut that out. But there's a lot of things you'll need to do. But affordable housing is not a necessity. It is a right. And we have enough people suffering and living on the street. I just came from Puerto Rico where I was caught in a hurricane and lived in a shelter for 9 days. You talk about devastation. Well, it's happening to New York little by little. Y'all better get it together. This is a right. A right. Housing is a right. Parking is not. Stop parking in our space. Enough is enough.
Okay, our next speaker to come and line up.
The next, we forgot one out of order, Sarah Kalani.
Followed by
Ron Hoffner, followed by Kelly Williams.
If you can come up now.
And which one? Who is this? I'm sorry.
My name is Sarah Kalani.
Thank you.
I've lived in this community, the Upper West Side, for 40 years, over 40 years actually. And I remember when the Marseille was open. I didn't realize that it was 40 years ago. I live in this community and I've seen the dramatic erosion of affordable housing over the years. For my neighbors, including seniors, families, and folks with special needs. My car is parked at 151 West 108th Street. I'm sorry at the prospect of losing this parking space. It's affordable and it's very convenient. But when it comes to a choice between affordable housing and a parking garage, it's a no-brainer. This housing is needed. Wishfish has a long and stellar track record in the development of affordable housing in our community and the provision of and management too. The management and the provision of appropriate services, supportive services for its tenants. I can't imagine a better organization to be spearheading this project, and it's really very exciting to me that this is going to happen.
I'm very delighted to be here this evening. My name is David Broxton, and I'm formerly a client at Valley Lodge, which actually, I wouldn't be standing here today if it wasn't for them and the situation that I had. It's sort of like the story of Humpty Dumpty was on a wall and had a great fall. And I had a terrible fall through alcohol, drugs, and many other things. And they saved my life. And when I had people talking about parking that car, like, you know, I mean, how can you compare a car with a life? Are you crazy? You understand? For the almighty dollar, money, 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 money. You understand? Do you think for a moment, and then you complain that homeless people out in the street, but homeless people, why don't they do something about them? And then when we got ready to do something about it, not my neighborhood, they're nothing but scum, you know? Please, make up your mind. Are you human or are you inhuman? I mean, I'm so pissed off about the attitude that some people have for the almighty dollar. What are we supposed to do? Disappear from the earth? You understand? We are human beings that worked our lives and had lives, and we want people that love us, family and everything else. We're not from another planet. We're right here. We're born, and we did our whatever. Some of us been in the service. We work, and our fingers to the bone. Then we become old, and you kick us aside like we're dirt. You understand? What kind of stuff is that? They saved my life. I was on drugs and alcohol and everything, and I came into that place 13 years ago, and they put Humpty Dumpty back together again and made me a man to get there and talk. Thank you.
Ron Hoffner.
I may have. If that's what you meant, I guess it is. Ron Hoffman,
And followed by
Kelly Williams.
Kelly Williams here. Come on
Thank
up.
you.
Kelly is secretary.
Yeah.
Hey, Ron.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Hi. My name is Ron Hoffman, and I'm a resident of Manhattan Valley. I've been in the community since 1983. I'm a special ed teacher. I do volunteer work. I work closely with the Samaritan Village and 226. We're the ones, I do vocational training on Columbus Avenue with children with special needs. This meeting is in a lovely neighborhood. It's great, it's fantastic. Wouldn't you like to have opportunity to live here in subsidized housing south of 96th Street? Well, 96th Street above it is a segregated community. Carmen and I have spoken about it. We work very closely with Douglas. It's not about it's not all about housing. Excuse me. All right. It's not all about housing and cars. Please. We work closely together on other matters. All right. The point is, I checked off, I oppose this project. I hear you. I checked off. I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, I'm talking
We
to
work
this guy
on-
that ain't got no business in our conversation. Go ahead, guys. Go ahead. No.
Thank you so much. Opportunity, we're talking about opportunity. When you look and see what's going on in Manhattan Valley, when you go north of 96th Street, the environment changes completely. The house is not maintained, we have less opportunity. The MRI, for example, the van, you get more poverty uptown. We are a poverty designated area of Manhattan Valley.
Yeah, because you're saying back Manhattan Valley and that's not
Here's the
right.
statement, come on.
You need to let him speak uninterrupted.
Collegian was supposed to build at 61st Street, affordable housing, low income. However, they reneged on their deal. They had an agreement with Community Board 7. There was an understanding, but mysteriously, they chose not to build affordable housing, low-income housing at 61st Street. So they decided to send the money to 108th Street. So We have the MRI band is applied differently between south of 96th Street and north of 96th Street. The change in concentrated poverty rates. Manhattan Valley increases the poverty rate 2%. 2% it increases the poverty. What I'm saying is we need more diversity in terms of socioeconomic backgrounds. It should be shared within the Upper West Side.
Thank you.
I would, if I was, all right, thank you.
We have a correction from,
The AMI, are you referring to AMI, area median income?
Yes.
Requirements?
The different bands, yes.
So for affordable housing, the advance are the same.
There are different, no, there are different percentages. Have a conversation. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kelly Williams, Kelley.
I know you are. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm feeling a lot of things, and I want to say a lot of things, but I only have 2 minutes. I've been in this fight for affordable housing in this neighborhood essentially since I moved here in 1962. My mother applied to live in one of the affordable housing buildings that people promised would be available for people who couldn't afford. Well, we couldn't afford it. So I never got to live in one of the new buildings that went up in the urban renewal area. I came here and I was really tired because I'm thinking to myself, we're really still doing this? We were doing this in the 70s, you know? And I remember John Colwell, some people who've been around here for a long time. We were fighting for affordable housing on 91st Street. And I had asked John, please come, we need you to speak. And he wasn't going to speak, and then he stood up and he goes, first of all, there was a trigger word, environmental. Environment or environmental issues have nothing to do with this. If there are environmental issues, they will be dealt with so that people can live safely. That's number one. Number two, to say save Manhattan Valley, it was Wishfish, it was Manhattan Valley Development Corporation, it was residents of Douglas that have started make that neighborhood what it is. You came here in '83. We've been here for a long time. Now, again, it is a no-brainer. Cars or homes. It's very simple. Keep it simple. So thank you. Oh, I'm the executive director of Strikers Bay Neighborhood Council, in case I did not mention that.
Speakers are Albert Bergeret or Bergeret. Albert Bergeret.
is Albert here? Come on up. And who followed by?
Francis Curran.
Francis, come on up.
Followed by David Dubin.
David, come on up.
And I'm Albert Bergeret, B-E-R-G-E-R-E-T.
You're with GNS?
I'm the New York Field Consulting Players Center Director on the Upper West Side. Been a resident up here for many years, specifically in one district or another. I'm not here to oppose any of the impassioned pleas about affordable housing. However, I am here to support reasonable and responsible balance in urban planning. When you take away a resource that supports those who have the means, in replacing them with those who don't have the means, you drive the neighborhood down, not up. Thank you very much. That makes the point.
Francis Curran, followed by David Dubin, followed by Laura Massett.
Hi, my name is Francis Curran. That's Francis Curran. I'm a member of the community, and I'm here on behalf of Holy Name St. Gregory the Great Parish. The parish enthusiastically supports the project, and I think just the statistic that there are 200,000 people on the waiting list for affordable housing really says all that needs to be said. I encourage the board to approve the project. Thank you.
David Rubin following. Hi, Laura Nassau.
Good evening, my name is David Dubin. I've lived in the neighborhood since 1967. And I simply want to make one quick point, and that's to reinforce the point that Albert made about more comprehensive planning for this. There should be a way of finding a solution for both the housing, which we all support, and also the other community needs. There are a great many people who park in those garages who desperately need their cars for their health and for their occupations. There are other places where this project could be built, including in CB7, and they are listed on the Save Manhattan Valley website, so I encourage you to look at that. But I also want you to be aware that if this project goes forward, there will be 3.5 miles of total length of automobiles circling around looking for parking spots. This neighborhood has been identified by the city as one of the prime areas for pedestrian knockdowns. And at this point, there are probably going to be at least two, estimated by our consultant, at least 2 or more fatalities in addition to those that have occurred circulating traffic. Just another thing that should be kept in mind when the city and the others have not taken the time to look for other alternatives. Thank you.
Sir, if everybody who mentions a website could tell me what the website is, I'll make sure the minutes say it. So yours is
SaveManhattanValley.org.
Hi, good evening. My name is Laura Michoud. I'm the Executive Director of the Supportive Housing Network of New York. We're a 30-year-old membership organization of about 200 nonprofits throughout New York State. We have 50,000 units of supported housing, which has been amazing. I'd like to speak in support of this project. Wishfish, as you all know, is one of the founders of the supported housing model, having come to the mission of creating affordable housing with services in order to serve people who are in need. In the late 70s, which has been referenced tonight, just appearing on the Upper West Side were unfortunately named bag ladies. And Wishfish's founder, Reverend Lauren Jervis, decided to do something about it and to take dilapidated single-room occupancy hotels and create 1,800 apartments on the Upper West Side for those who are less fortunate, those who are homeless, and actually even more community opposition to the sale of the Euclid Hall, which was then a very dangerous SRO, but became 300 supportive apartments for formerly homeless seniors. I want to speak just quickly to the need for the project. We looked at the hard numbers and as part of the mayor's task force on supported housing, and actually a third of the individuals, and everyone knows the shelter system is currently at 60,000, which is untenable. And a third of those individuals are over the age of 55. So Wishfish could not have better timing in creating more supportive and affordable housing. And as everyone knows, they are the gold standard in terms of providing excellent housing for vulnerable New Yorkers. Spectacular neighbor, you could not do any better. Thank you.
I just want to announce that our live streaming is now live. And I also, on behalf of all my board colleagues, want to thank everybody for coming out. This is a democracy, and we're thrilled to hear all of your voices.
The next speakers, group of 3M, Marsham Castro, Mark Meridi, and Ron James.
If you could all come forward.
M. Marsham Castro.
Are you Marsham?
Marsham.
Should I spell it? No.
I got it. Thanks.
Hi guys. I am I guess since I was 18, Upper West Side resident. My first apartment with my 2 friends was a wraparound penthouse on 99th and Broadway for $150 a month. And since then, back and forth, but basically a resident all of my life, all of my adult life. I'm now living in a senior building on 160. And It's above 96th Street for whoever was talking about times are hard. And it's a lovely neighborhood, very diverse. And I keep my finger on the 311 button if I have a noise complaint, because I'm one of those crotchety old seniors. I've got no problem with this new development coming on 108th Street, because right now I think we're hitting the peak for baby boomers. I think, you know, which is what, from 1946, 1964, people born in that period. There's going to be the greater need. I know my building, they had to shut down the waiting list. There's, you know, there's like 10,000 people trying to get into the building. It's a real issue, and we should probably address the elephant in the room, which is concern about quality of life. And you know, there's no real concern. You really have to avoid the knee-jerk response to the magic words of affordable or shelter. It's all good. It's not a problem, really. That's all I have to say.
And next is Mark Charity, followed by Ron James, followed by Ricardo Leos.
And spell Merity for me.
Sure. Mark Merity, M-E-R-I-D-Y.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Merity, and I'm the Executive Director of DeRote, a nonprofit organization dedicated to improving the lives of older adults. I also live in the neighborhood of the proposed development, and I park my car on the street. I'm here this evening to speak strongly in favor of the proposed West Side Federation for Senior and Supportive Housing's development on West 108th Street. For over 40 years, DeRote's mission has been to alleviate social isolation and assist older adults to live independently as valued members of the community. I'm proud to say that DeRote is a longtime partner with WSFSH, and we believe that the proposed development will greatly enhance the community with well-managed, affordable, supportive housing, a much-needed community space, and public restrooms for the playground. There is a serious affordable housing crisis in this city, and ladies and gentlemen, we must take action. At DeRote, we are very familiar with the challenges faced by seniors in our community. Since 1983, DeRote has provided transitional housing for homeless older adults through our homelessness prevention program. We help seniors obtain the benefits for which they are entitled and provide them with a supportive community. While in our program, we offer intense assistance in locating permanent housing and help them settle into their new home. Despite our best efforts, the severe shortage of affordable long-term housing means that seniors, among many others, have few places to turn in times of need. At this time, as it's been said, over 200,000 New Yorkers are waiting on a wait list for affordable housing. The typical wait is well over 5 years. And for many, that is just way too long and of no use. As a result, DeRote strongly supports WSFSH's proposed development. There's a tremendous need for the affordable housing services for families and seniors. Having worked with WSFSH for many years, I can say without reservation that they are a responsible and highly regarded community partner.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ronald James. I reside on 108th Street in Manhattan Valley for 10 years. I have seen the neighborhood become less affordable for working people, and one of the real hopes that we have wished on 108th Street project. Over the years, I have known people who came to live in the next block at the Valley Lodge. Many of these people have worked their whole lives. But during the 50s, they were laid off in a recession and they came upon hard times. And homeless. And when they became homeless, Valley Lodge was there to help them and get them back on their feet to get permanent housing. Affordable housing is the greatest need of my community. And I asked the community board to support this 100% affordable project.
Ricardo Leos, David Zell Len and Reverend Alistair Drummond. If you could come up, please. Are they here?
Yeah.
We have so many more in favor, I'm interweaving them every third. Okay?
Why not every other?
Well, sometimes, I'm not gonna explain my logic, but sometimes people haven't disclosed what side they're on. So if you don't disclose, you go into the other pile and I can't control that.
They should be at the end then if they have.
I can't allow. Okay,
Ricardo, is Ricardo here?
Reverend Alistair.
Is Ricardo here? Is Ricardo? Is Ricardo here? Ricardo at the end of the list.
My name is Reverend Alistair Drummond. I'm the pastor of West End Presbyterian Church on 105th Street and Amsterdam Avenue. Very glad to be with you all this afternoon. I'm testifying here today because I feel a moral obligation to support our neighbour, the West Side Federation on Senior and Supportive Housing. And we have been neighbours and friends for many, many years now. And a lot of the points I wanted to make have been made already, so I'm not going to repeat them. But we have a moral imperative to support the solution for rent insecurity in our neighborhood and in our city. There's a real insecurity about rent in our city because of rapid spike in rents that all of us are experiencing in this neighborhood. And the median home prices in our neighborhood have grown 19% in a very short time. Wishfish at 108th Street will include 195 apartments for low-income families and seniors. And those apartments will be 100% permanently affordable, which is truly remarkable. It's a remarkable achievement. We can say it's an achievement because we know what Wishfish's record has been over an organization. 195, 100% permanently affordable apartments. That's as well as resources that Lorraine Paul has described for us. Resources for the community like restrooms for Annabelle Alaves playground. Thank you. And healthcare resources and meeting places. So in an era right now where empathy feels sometimes right out of reach for so many, we need to be a model of digging deep for empathy, even when, okay, next slide.
Patricia Ireland, followed by Maureen McDermott.
Who's this? I'm sorry. Like the country?
Hi, I'm Patricia. I live in Manhattan.
Sorry, can you answer better?
My name is Patricia. I've lived in Manhattan Valley for 20 years in the corner of 108th Street in Amsterdam. I'm a mother of 4 children. And I just have a couple of questions, Paul, that I think you might answer if you could clarify for me. One of those is you said that 50% of the family units are designated to CB7. What percentage of the single units for elderly are designated to CB7?
Great question. That's a complicated question because the goal was to have residents of Valley Lodge move. The goal was to have a preference for residents of Valley Lodge to be able to move into that permanent supportive housing. So they will have first priority. So they will already be residents within CB7. They have priority 1, and then they'll be filled in if there are
Additional by what process and by what percentages?
It'd be referrals to people who have who have been, have a history of homelessness and are now ready to move into permanent supportive housing.
So is it fair to say that there's zero guarantee that elderly people in CB7 will get a seat in this elderly housing?
No, because everybody who lives in Valley Lodge is an elderly resident of CB7. Typically, they live in Valley Lodge for up to 1 year, and they will be moving from that into the permanent supportive housing.
Okay, yeah, okay, so I'm just concerned that there's a misrepresentation of what's actually going to be available to people in our neighborhood. So my question isn't, my issue isn't with Wishfish at all, and my issue isn't with affordable housing at all. My issue is with indecent politics of New York City. And I want to appeal to the integrity of the community board regarding the indecent politics at play in this particular project. When we met with Wishfish in the beginning, this building wasn't as tall. When Wishfish came on the market with this project, it was just for Valley Lodge. They go to HPD, and HPD says, why don't you develop the block? Why don't you go higher? And HPD gets to sign off on itself for a project that violates zoning and that changes the rules. And I don't understand that. The other thing I don't like is that there's dirty money from the Egypt project and the other parts of Manhattan that need affordable housing that gets spent on West 108th Street. And I don't understand. Okay, so my appeal is please take a hard look at the integrity of some of the decisions. Our next speaker is Maureen McDermott, followed by Elizabeth Kellner, followed by Mickey Navarro. Maureen McDermott, MCDR.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I've grown up in this neighborhood. I live actually a little bit north of Valley Lodge in Morningside Heights. But I've seen affordable housing disappear as Columbia expands and as the local institutions sell off their property. I used to live, Columbia used to be in my neighborhood. Now I live on its campus. The buildings and the apartments in my building, as people move or die, students move in. And so it's, you know, then because their apartments are turned into dormitory space for Columbia students. It's clear we've been losing housing. Shifts in public policy in recent years have made it easier for landlords to deregulate rent-stabilized apartments, remove subsidies for qualified low-income tenants, and move properties that were designed as low-income developments into the general housing market at top-level prices. Just slightly north of Valley Lodge, there are slated to be 5 new buildings built within the next 5 years on property formerly owned by Union Theological Seminary and Jewish Theological Seminary. According to the developers themselves, I quote, "We're not offering a building like for billionaires on 57th Street. We'll have apartments at 2 million up to maybe 5 million, depending on the number of bedrooms. You can't find anything that reasonable anywhere on the Upper West Side." So the neighborhood north of 96th Street is about to be opened up. We're not on, so it's clear to me that we definitely housing will be built by a well-respected, trustworthy organization that has a long history of preserving affordable housing on the Upper West Side. Wishfish knows our community well. I trust it will not only serve the best interests of those in need, but that it will continue to serve the best interests of the community at large as well.
People, we still have a lot of speakers, so if you don't have to use your whole 2 minutes, it will mean that we'll be able to hear most of the speakers this time.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Kellner. I've lived in Manhattan Valley for 41 years. A lot of people refer to the community, the Upper West Side. I take great pride in saying I actually live in Manhattan Valley. And for the 10 years that I've been retired, I've walked the streets back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south. So I feel I know the neighborhood very well. I do park on the garage, and having been a Manhattan Valley pioneer, I am fortunate enough that if I have to move my car I'll be able to do it. But I just want to bring a couple of things to the community board's attention. The legacy of Manhattan Valley, due to the abandonment and the drugs and the city near bankruptcy in the 70s, is there were hundreds of abandoned buildings in the city. And the city came to own those buildings. And the results of city ownership of those buildings or those vacant lots, they were given to many worthy, reputable non-for-profits, like Quishfish, like the Bridge, like Urban Pathways, like many others. And that is why Manhattan Valley per capita has the highest concentration of affordable housing and supported housing agencies in any part of Community Board 7. And that is why some people take umbrage at the fact that Collegiate found a way to, with its $50 million, to buy its way out of siding affordable housing in the lower part of Community Board 7, where it is desperately needed. The other thing I would just like to bring up is, yes, we will lose 750 cars, and if we can afford a space, maybe we can afford another space. But the people who can't afford the space are the low-income and working people of Manhattan Valley, who don't live in Douglas houses, who don't have spaces there, and who have to park on the street. And those people need their cars too. And so this is not just about the people who park in the garage. It's about all the people who live in the HCFCs and the Section 8 buildings in Manhattan Valley who will have nowhere else to park.
Good evening. I'm Nikki Navarro, and I'm here to support affordable housing in a neighborhood that I love, the neighborhood where I grew up, a neighborhood where I still work, and I've been there 65 years. 65 years. I'm a social worker in that community. I was a housing specialist in that community. I am a director of 2 senior centers in that community. Oftentimes when I go to work, I feel like I'm going into the trenches. You know why? Because we get about 40 to 45 people every day coming into our center asking us for affordable housing. Our buildings have 2,000 people waiting on waiting list. People that I knew from when I was a child. People who don't have anywhere to live, you're pushing them to the Bronx. The Bronx is okay, but it's not okay for these people who were in this neighborhood when nobody. 50 phone calls per day, asking for applications. I don't have any more to give them. The stories I get are so sad. Right now, I have people struggling to pay rent, people struggling, they're living. I have a veteran, a Vietnam vet, living in Douglas houses with their mother-in-law, 1-bedroom apartment. His wife sleeps on a couch, on the sofa, and he sleeps on the floor. How shameful is that? How shameful is that? Westbridge is only going to do a drop in the bucket, 194 units Westbridge is going to give this neighborhood for people to live in dignity, with respect, and safety. That's what we do. That's what Westbridge wants to do. And shame on you if you don't let us do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Nina, thumbs up. Nina. Nana,
Good evening, everyone. I'm here also a resident of Manhattan Valley. I'm a math teacher, a special ed teacher, and I've been working for the UN and working with the community for a long time. The question is not about having affordable housing. Of course it's needed. Absolutely it's needed. It's no brainer. It's just a matter of compromise. Where else can we look at? What other laws can we look at? The neighborhood is becoming, yes, there is cars. Some people depends on it. Their life depends on it. It's not a matter of having pedestrian or bicycle lane or cars. We have pedestrians, but look the way that pedestrian walks in the streets of Manhattan. I'm an educator. We don't educate each other. We just tell each other Manhattan Valley is asking for just the parking. Yes, it is ridiculous. It's somehow when someone is asking for me to pay for an animal when I have a child to save. It is no-brainer, but it's just finding a solution, a compromise of looking at other sides. That's what all for me, my family, my child grew up in that neighborhood. I grew up in that neighborhood. I love this neighborhood. It's something that is dear to me. We love our beautiful neighborhood. All of us are here. It's home. So no, we are not fighting for the parking. We are fighting for the quality of life. That there are not cars in the street every 5 minutes, running around, people who are parking, not thinking about each other. We are losing our humanity. We are losing about caring about each other. So that's what we are asking for each other. Just let's be human, let's find a compromise and a solution. Not just saying that this is bad or this is bad. Thank you very much.
People, we have over 70 speakers who are still have not spoken. So I implore you to not use your full 2 minutes so that everybody has a chance to be heard.
Stephen Franco, followed by Michelle Samarel, followed by David Phelan.
Hang on, I think we have somebody.
Hi, I'm Michelle Samarel. I'm actually not here with an opinion. I am a parent of a 6th grader at MS54, and I have to say there's a lot of concern from the parent community about the safety of our children. We just had one handball wall taken down at the beginning of the school year, and it caused, from what I've heard, a lot of dust and dirt and problems with breathing, asthma, whatnot, at the school. And this was one wall. Well, I haven't asked the question yet. But wait. My questions are multiple. I want to know what studies have been done. I want to know how you're going to guarantee that the yard where the children play recess is going to be protected. I want to make sure the children can have open windows at the school so they can have fresh air to breathe. And I really would love to hear a full answer to this question, not just, oh, don't worry. They said that about the lead in the pipes, and then we had to have water fountains closed down. So I really, I care about the children, and I want to hear what you're doing to care about the children.
What I wanted to say, because in Community Board 7, we take this very seriously. We've had several meetings with PTA, with Mark Levine's office, and with we're trying to hold a hearing just for the school, just so WSFSSH can deal with all of your questions in detail rather than 2 minutes here. They'll get to hear a brief answer, but we're going to have a detailed meeting. They're working on the schedule, but I can give you a very
My name is Norva Greenberger from Phillips Even Associates. Our office prepared the draft environmental impact statement. Just for the brevity, I know that we're trying to put this short. The draft environmental impact statement is online and has a full construction analysis looking at the impacts of noise, air quality, open space access during the entire project's construction. We worked also with WSFSSH is in the process of going through remediation for the site to make sure that any asbestos and lead waste can be dealt with before construction.
Thank you.
The meeting for the school will be announced. I would suggest the meeting for the school is going to be announced shortly. We're trying to find a venue for it because the issues there involve so many aspects regarding children, phasing, construction safety, etc. And we will try to get that information out to you as quickly as possible. Failing that, call the community board. Our district manager sits out front, Penny Ryan, and one of her colleagues may be able to help you. The other issue is that tonight, if you have anything that's not related to the disposition of the city-owned land or the change in the zoning, that is the principal themes for tonight, because we're trying to compartmentalize and allow our board a chance to digest your comments related to these two big issues, which were huge before. So just keep that in mind, and remember, it's okay to just say your name, and if you're for or against a particular issue, we can move on. So the next speakers are Stephen Franco, Henry Weinberger, and David Taylor.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Steve Franco. I work in security for Wishfish. I've been here almost 5 years. I see firsthand all the great and necessary work they're doing for homeless and seniors. So I give them my full support, and I ask you to reconsider. If you don't, and think about it, rethink what's going on here. Thank you.
Thank you for your presence. Alan Weinberger, David Taylor, followed by Jerome Kramer.
Weinberger?
Henry Weinberger?
Dave, I think you're on.
No. David Taylor?
Yeah.
Oh.
Hello, my name is Dave Taylor, and I'm here representing Rutgers Presbyterian Church, which is located at 73rd Street Broadway, and Rutgers supports this project right from the very beginning to the end. My first experience with this issue was in the 1980s, when members of Rutgers attended a rally in support of Euclid Hall being converted from a rental to a residence for homeless older adults. Those who were opposed to Euclid Hall were primarily concerned about the formerly homeless residents would make the neighborhood dangerous and unruly. Project 7 voted to approve this project, and nothing ever happened on 86th Street. Everybody didn't know that they were there for the most part. And that's true of most of the residents, is because they have one, there are throughout our district and community court 7. And there's really, I think, one golden rule, or one reason why Wishfish is so successful, is that they have a very strong support system for the residents. And it's unbelievable. And that's why you don't see people hanging out in the neighborhood. In fact, most of us don't even know where they are. We should all get behind this project, and Rutgers Church will certainly ask you to do the same. Thank you.
Jerome Kramer, followed by Cliff Landers, followed by Arlene Melman.
Hi, I'm Jerome Kramer. I'm one of the co-presidents of the PTA at MS54. Michelle Summerall mentioned the school. I want to really reiterate that the school has been left out of this discussion way more than it should have been. This is a school that has 850 kids. It has a significant faculty and staff, and we are across the street. When Mr. Freitag first mentioned the block as being characterized by blank facades, that is the north side of the block, but the south side of the block is 1,000 kids and their teachers going to school, playing in the yard every day. The yard is used after hours because it's a park department yard. Proceeding forward with this construction without absolutely solid assurances that it's being done before and during in the very best possible way is, I think, highly irresponsible. And our correspondence with entities involved, we have been very open and willing to partner with them, but we have not been getting the response and the information. The very notion that there's a meeting being planned for the school alone is news to me. I'm the president of the PTA. Nobody mentioned that to me. That seems to indicate that we are not partnering, we're not having the kind of communication, we're not having the kind of exchange that is necessary to impose a project like this on a school community. Thank you.
Cliff Sanders, followed by Arlene Melman, followed by Karen Jorgensen, followed by Jane Margulis.
Okay, let's see how fast I can read. My name is Cliff Flanders. I'm speaking as a Manhattan Valley resident, a very recent resident, actually. I only moved here 2 years ago, having spent the previous 38 years on West 78th Street. Now, the difference between my old neighborhood and my new neighborhood is striking, especially since my new neighborhood is so diverse and so hospitable. Now, hospitable is not a word you hear a lot of when people describe New York City. But for Manhattan Valley, it works because Manhattan Valley is welcoming of many races, ethnicities, sexual orientations, religious affiliations, and especially elderly and low-income people. So I am proud to be part of a neighborhood that shares space with such residents as the Red Oak Senior Apartments on 106th Street, Cole House, the Kurt and Lita Schneider Apartments, the Valley Lodge Transitional Shelter on West 108th Street. All properties of the West Side Federation, all devoted to providing a home for low-income seniors. Now, I know that there are only good people here tonight. And because I know that, I also know that no one here really believes that a carton space is more important than housing human beings. What I would just suggest that perhaps what might be going on is simply a fear of homeless people. And I can relate to it. I shared that fear. It's a confession time. I shared that fear and that discomfort until I got the opportunity to work with and for homeless people for 13 years at the West Side Federation. I can assure you, you have nothing to fear from homeless folks. They are no different from me or me, except that they were in a very desperate situation. They deserve only our compassion and support. And I know that if you could see the lives that will be transformed by the expansion of Valley Lodge, you would approve of this undertaking.
There are a few seats here in the front row. If anybody who's been standing would like to infill.
A whole bunch of seats over here.
Arlene Bellman, followed by Karen Jorgensen, followed by Jane Margulis, followed by Mirza Morales. If you could all just come to the back.
I grew up in the projects. I love living in the projects. I grew up in the projects. I love living in the projects. But, and I do not fear very much. And I am very old. And I do not understand why anybody is talking about either or. I have never met anybody that is against affordable housing. What I don't understand is why they couldn't consider a multi-level parking garage in just one part of the street, because 750 cars riding around fighting for parking spots, and a lot of people who live in affordable housing want to need cars too. And a lot of us who park in the garages are parked there because we still work. We work outside the city and do not have transportation to get there. We have parents in age in homes where we have to visit them, family, and we took that into consideration when we moved here. So there needs to be a solution for all of us, and that could be, I mean, a multi-level parking area as part of this project should have been considered. And please don't think of don't talk to me about being fearful of anybody. I've worked with HUD, OEO, housing in New Jersey. I was in charge of housing in New Jersey. So we need to get a solution that helps all of us be part of a community. Because to people who have their cars, this is important for some people, for their families, for their jobs, for everything. So let's find a common solution.
Next is
The next speaker is Karen Jorgensen.
Yes. Okay, good afternoon. My name is Karen Jorgensen, and I have been the director of the Valley Lodge Shelter on West 108th Street since we opened in 1988. We are a proud program of WSFSH, currently serving 92 homeless men and women 50 years of age and over. And with me tonight are residents, alumni, and staff of Valley Lodge. I'd like to ask them to stand at this time or wave. Echoing what Nikki Navarro said earlier, at Valley Lodge, I too get calls daily from people facing eviction because their income is no longer enough to pay the rent and eat. People spending the last of their savings to hold off eviction with no hope of ever again having an income large enough to afford their rent because they are elderly or disabled and will never work again. Many of these calls come from West Siders. There are many people at Valley Lodge who worked all their lives and were responsible tenants, but were forced into the shelter system. Their Social Security retirement is usually no more than $1,000 a month, not enough to afford any apartment on the open market. And as people are evicted, more and more apartments go out of stabilization into fair market rental. And in the Manhattan Valley neighborhood, where Valley Lodge is located, they are advertising apartments renting for $3,000, $4,000, and $5,000 a month. Years ago, the board of directors of WSFSH made the decision to have only one shelter, Valley Lodge, and to devote all of our future efforts to the development and preservation of affordable housing. We now have 25 other buildings, including the just purchased Independence House, a Mitchell-Lama on West 94th Street, saving housing for another 30 years for that building. I urge you to support this project. Thank you.
Morales, followed by Glenn of West End Avenue. I'm sorry, I can't read your last name. Glenn lives on West End Avenue. Maybe it's Levitt. So we're doing Jane Margolis, Marisol, and Glenn. Marisol, you go first.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mirza Morales. Why I'm here? I'm from 87th Street. Many years we fought to save those buildings that I live now, because it was a city-owned building and they want to sell this building to private developers. We all got together, and thanks to a lot of officials and a lot of people who were able to save those buildings. My worry is, the majority of the people that live in those buildings, including myself, we are working class people. We pay taxes like everybody else, rich and poor. I worked for 35 years in the school system, and I pay taxes too. But when I retire in a fixed income. That means I'm not going to be able to afford pay $2,000 or $3,000 and remain in the neighborhood that I have been living for 50 years, educated my 3 sons. They're all professionals, the 3 of them, because I make sure that I did my job as a mother. Well, I want to make sure that I do my job as a tenant, as a neighborhood, as a friend. We need more homes. We need affordable homes. We need to support this project 100%. No 90, no 80, 100%. Save this, this project must go on. And for our mental and well-being. Because when you retire, you want to remain in the neighborhood that you are living for 50 and 60 years. You don't want to go to the Bronx and to Brooklyn.
Thank you. Followed by, I'm going to do another call for Jane Bargolis. She's here. Jose Caceres and Phil Passman.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure which young lady said, shame on you if you don't support this, but shame on you to even say that. Really, really simple, right off the bat. You give up 600-700 parking spots in this neighborhood. These are people that are desperate with their cars. You're talking about teachers coming to teach the students, which are right across the street. People that have to get to their job. I'm sorry if you say so what, but people have to go to work every day. I assume you do, and please you allow me to speak because I let everybody else speak. Okay? Talking about low-income housing, yes, everybody would love to have all wonderful housing, and it's just not realistic. This neighborhood has so much low-income housing, 52%. You want to figure a way how to destroy a neighborhood? Continue to add low-income housing. Okay? I'm sorry. Excuse me one second. I just want to address this. I am speaking. When you were speaking, everybody gave you the common courtesy. I expect you to do the same. And that is the problem. Okay? Not everybody can live in a $10 million apartment. Not everybody lives in a $2 million apartment. You're starting to act like being successful is a crime. I'm sorry that you can. Okay. This is not a debate. Exactly what I said. When you speak, I'm quiet. When I speak, you be quiet. Okay. Thank you very much. You've been a great audience.
Well, in order to keep this building, it helps if we're just quiet. If you don't agree with them, just do this. If you agree, do this.
Our next speakers, I'm calling Jane Bargolis.
Hi, my name is Phil Katzman. I've lived up in this area for the last 36 years myself. Like the person before me, I am not against low-income housing. I'm very much for it. That's why I moved into the neighborhood. To me, I'm very proud to be in an area where it's so liberal, this voting district, one of the most liberal voting districts in the country. It made me very proud to be in such a diverse area. That's what brought me here. That's why I love it. And that's why I'm going to have a difficult time staying here. I do park my car in that garage. I don't understand why this has to be a fight for low-income housing against the garage. These are perfectly good buildings. Why are we raising perfectly good buildings to create additional housing? There are lots of lots around that could be built on. It costs millions of dollars just to raise the buildings, just to put in the low-income housing. It's unfair. We're people too. We're middle class. Do we want a city of just very rich people and low-income housing? No. I work for a living. I used to take the subway to work. I'm a teacher. I used to go downtown. Now I have to take my car to go to work. If I don't have my car to go to work, I'm not going to go and drive around for an hour looking for a parking space. I'm out of here also. So yes, I'd love to retire here also. I'm not retired because I can't afford to retire. I need that car, and I support the garages.
Jose Caceres.
Say here.
Jose A. Caceres.
Okay, next speaker.
Jean Jorek, followed by Mildred it's hard. Pacelli or Pachi? Never mind. I'll give you the reference. Jane, sorry.
Thank you. I brought a fan. I'm Jean Duarick. I've been active in the community for a long time. I'm going to be brief. I'm really concerned about the breach in the housing. The breach in the zoning. This project was proposed by Wishfish at a much lower profile, and the Wishfish has been pushed by the city to basically break the zoning barrier. That zoning was put into effect only 10 years ago. It was a really hard-fought battle, and I know a lot of you in this room probably participated. And it was, I think, a really important thing in terms of the community having input to the future. I also would like to speak just for a moment about the setting of this room. I realize that you guys have to find places for these meetings, and it's not easy, but obviously this was inadequate. And I'm hoping that for the next hearing of this type regarding this sort of an issue, that you can find a bigger space. Maybe a school, maybe it's got to be in an auditorium. There's another issue. Well, excuse me, I'm speaking. I have the floor now. I sat here and I listened. Okay, the only other point that I really wanted to make was that I guess I do agree. I don't feel I'm like this terrible ogre that I hate affordable housing or something. I was involved with a community garden on 102nd Street. Wishfish took the property. It was an amicable, although painful, leveling of the garden. We worked with them in terms of moving plants and stuff like that to another location. I really think that some sort of compromise is possible. The parking is important in terms of the economic viability of the community. There's no way you can ignore that. And I'm a biker. I don't have a garage there, a garage space. I don't park there. But I do think that it is a significant asset and one of the few that Manhattan Valley really has, other than really, really terrific people. Thank you for listening.
Jose A. Caceres, is he here? All right, we move on. Mildred, and we think we've got the name now. Pacheco. Mildred Pacheco. Mildred here. Somebody named Ned.
Ned with no last name.
Sue Radmer.
I don't know, it just says organization SMV.
Oh.
I'm not an extemporaneous speaker. Right here? Okay. Hi, my name is Sue Radmer, and I'm here to support the Wishfish project. I've lived in Morningside Heights for 40 years, always within blocks of the project site. During that time, I've been a graduate student, a preservation advocate, and a parent whose child was in public schools at PS 165 and MS 54, the latter across from the Wishfish site. The school experience in particular was a great window into the then economic diversity of our community. Also, I was at the New York City Human Resources Administration during the Koch years, working on supporting supported housing for families and adults throughout the city. I have a tremendous appreciation for the moral commitment and hard work Wishfish has devoted to this project, and of all the interests it must address in designing the program and knitting it into the surrounding community. Here are some things I know from the past 40 years. The need for secure, affordable housing continues unabated. Also, this neighborhood is getting less affordable by the year. And something I would like to believe is that the good citizens of the Upper West Side, Manhattan Valley, and Morningside Heights are far better than to stoop to NIMBY. Wishfish, one of the city's most respected social services organizations, has worked hard to design a program to address the housing needs of families and seniors, 50% of which will come from this very community. In addition, Mr. Freitag enumerated the benefits to the community. The claim that this development will rob the area of light and air is a false flag. Its physical design is of contextual height with a pleasing mass and facade articulation. It is adjacent to two playgrounds and central Morningside and Riverside parks and mere blocks away. Time is up? Okay.
Thank you. Mildred Pacheco, Ned, followed by Joan Dolan,
Is Joan Dolan here?
Ava Myers, or Judith Lynn? Any of those names? Savon Joan Dolan, I guess.
Someone's coming
Ava
up.
Myers, Judith Lynn.
You are.
Hi, good evening. My name is Siobhan Dolan. I've been a resident of Manhattan Valley for over 30 years. And, I had to write some of my thoughts or else I'll get confused. But I just wanted to say that this is a very multidimensional issue. And I've been hesitant to put the human face on the pile of metal in those garages. Professionally, as a nurse, my last job, I had to drive out to Nassau County and visit 6 to 7 people each day in their homes. That was my livelihood. I needed my car. My current job is in supported housing. I go off into the Bronx. I carry equipment with me and lots of handouts which are heavy, and I can't manage it in my little suitcase going down 2 flights of subway stairs and back up again. Personally, my car enabled me to be with my mother in a far-off place in New Jersey in the weeks prior to her passing. And that was a profound gift to me to be with her, and otherwise I would not have been able to do that. So with the multidimensional aspects of this project, there's zoning violations which are violated. There's a fair share criteria. I am proud of Manhattan Valley that we have 50% of the affordable housing here. And I'm also proud that we have so many social service facilities. But there are some areas of Manhattan that have none. So that doesn't make sense to me. But the most pressing issue is the environmental concerns. All 3 of these garages have had automated service facilities in them, which means that there are materials underneath, gasoline, PCBs, lead, metals, asbestos. I'm sorry, this is all carcinogenic. Nervous about their children, and they have a right to be nervous with these carcinogens.
Ava Myers, followed by Judith Lynn, followed by, sorry, Myers left.
Oh, Ava Myers.
Judith Lynn, Ira Rubin, followed by Larry Vidal. Last call, Ira Rubin.
Make sure I get that, okay?
Judith Lynn. Judith. Yeah. Larry Vidal.
Larry?
Jose Velez.
Jose?
Deborah Cardona.
Deborah?
Yes. Yes.
Hi. Buenas noches a todos. Good evening. My name is Deborah Cardona. I'm a lifer in this community. I went to a private music school on 94th Street, which was known as the School of Musical Education. My mom taught at Brandeis High School. Way back in the day, was one of the first bilingual educators. I'm here as a teacher, also a resident of Uptown, worrying about the Inwood Library, which is about to be taken down by a similar fashion. And so my issue is not against affordable housing. Mi gente, tú tienes que entender. Yes, we need affordable housing, but the issue is the way the city is going about trying to push something that really is duping us. Because when they start raising those zoning levels and going for taller buildings, then that allows for other things to happen, which is to buy everybody out of the community, which is what's happening up in my neighborhood in Washington Heights, in England. Oh my goodness. And I wonder, because I have Isabella Geriatric and other places in Uptown Manhattan, and I'm saying up there, as we're going through the EIS and all these different things, Wait a second, you haven't mentioned anything about the seniors and the elderly up in my neighborhood. What's going on? And what's affordable and what's preferential rent and what protects us? Nobody spells out these things. My contempt is with the city and the manner with which it does it. My contempt is for the fact that you guys know very well that this area is filled with all sorts of brownfields. And I'm unfortunately the big mouth that set off the thing about the schoolyard because there weren't permits there when they started the work. And I've got all the videotape and everything to prove that the city will start something, and unless in a poor neighborhood where we don't know any better, we go ahead and do things until someone sees it. So I'm not against the housing, please, I implore it, but there's better ways of doing it in locations. Thank you.
Larry McDonald. Larry McDonald.
Jose Velez. Jose. Tony Mangione. Flora Linda. Nasega. Okay.
Laura?
Followed by David Solis Cohen.
I'll bring it to you. I'll bring it to you.
Followed by Zomara Pedraza.
Okay. Hi, my name is Florinda Balmaceda. I'm a member of the seniors, the Red Oak Senior Center on 106th Street. And I have lived in this neighborhood since I came to New York City in 1952. I have seen many, many changes happen in the neighborhood because I have never lived outside from 90th to 106th Street. So I have seen new buildings come up, new housing come up, and I have seen people move out of this area. And they have been pushed out, promised that they would be giving apartments, and when they came back for those apartments, they could not afford them. Okay? So last night, I went to bed and I was thinking of this meeting. And I am thinking how important it is. And I said, there was this question in my head. How can people think of housing, protection, security for people, protection and security for cars, which is more important? I mean, come on. People, cars. People, cars. Hello? We're talking about the homeless. They need security over their heads.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Tony Mangum. I'm gonna make a mess of this. So Mara Pedraza. Some of these people Humara. To be followed by David Solis Cohen and Laura Lyons. Lorna Lyons. Thank you. Lorna.
Good evening. My name is Xiomara Pedraza on behalf of Enterprise Community Partners. I am pleased to testify in support of the West 108th Street Development Project, which will provide much needed affordable housing for seniors and families in Manhattan Valley. Enterprise brings opportunities to low and moderate income communities nationwide through safe, healthy, affordable housing. Yet, despite sizable investments by us and our partners, the need for affordable housing in this city has never been greater. Seniors are particularly vulnerable as they face declining or stagnant incomes
increased medical costs, and housing that is not designed to meet their needs. The senior population in the city will grow by 40% between 2010 and 2040, accounting for more than 15% of the city's population. However, a shocking 19% of residents aged 65 and over live below the federal poverty line, which is nearly double the national rate of 10%. Unfortunately, construction of affordable senior housing has not kept pace with the demand. As a result, 15% of tenants facing eviction are aged 62 years or older, and there are many, many seniors aged 55 and older in city homeless shelters, a lot of whom are economically homeless. They just fell on hard times. Another factor contributing to the housing crisis is the shortage of available sites, and we believe the West 100th Street site is ideal for low-income senior and family housing, and it is conveniently located near many public transportation options and walking distance from several parks. The affordable housing developed there would benefit dozens of families and many low-income seniors, allowing them to age with dignity, peace of mind, and without fear of losing their home.
David Solis Cohen, followed by Lorna Lyons, followed by Emily Horowitz. David Solis Cohen, is he here? Oh, sorry.
Hi, my name, as you just heard, is David Solis Cohen. I've lived in the neighborhood for 32 years. I'm a big believer in this type of housing, but I think HPD has really not been fair to the people in this community in terms of how they have developed and thought through this project. As you've heard tonight, there are many people who rely on their cars for work, and if they are not able to park their cars in a garage, they will have to leave the neighborhood and live somewhere else. So this is not a matter of cars versus people, it's people versus people. And the truth is, and I've been in real estate for 32 years, and I know that there's a way to build this project where you could still have at least 500 parking spaces and probably at least 80% of the units that they want to build. But HPD does not want to hear it, and it's really quite embarrassing that the city has, pushed this project the way they have. I don't think that there's been another project in the city's history where they've taken something like this away and replaced it with something else. It's usually built on a vacant lot. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lorna Lyons, and I'm from Pittsburgh, PA. I came to New York City back in April with the hopes of relocating, finding a measure of success, and bringing my family along with me at a later date. And I still believe that that can happen. Currently, I have an undergrad in organizational development, and I'm an MPA, Master of Public Administration. I've worked for government, nonprofit entities, and I've been an independent contractor on various levels for years. Now, this issue with the housing and the parking, I'm going to say this. The one thing that stuck out that I heard was that by changing the zoning down the road, the same thing that happened in Harlem will happen in Manhattan Valley. Okay. That being said, someone else already said that the fix was in. Well, for the first time in my lifetime, I've ever heard of a fix being in for the poor people. So let's hear it for the boys of New York City. But another thing, and I'm not saying this to make fun or light, but in a world where super lawyers can be homeless, before you make this decision, you better watch your back, because God got mine. I'm a resident of the Valley Lodge.
Emily Horowitz, followed by Thomas Lopez Pierre, followed by John Moscow.
My name is Emily Horowitz, and I've been living in Manhattan Valley for 17 years. I park my car in one of the garages, and
it's not about people versus cars at all. And I really resent that there seems to be so much like anger and resentment towards people who are opposed to this project. There's a lot of good reasons to be opposed to this project. Number one, the zoning, it's a slippery slope to protect our neighborhood from high rises and commercial losing more affordable housing than we already are losing. I'm a cancer survivor also, and I'm concerned about the carcinogens that are going to be released. I've read that there's water that runs underneath the garages, and you disturb that, and God knows, there's children that go to school. Like I said, almost 1,000 children going to school across the street. So personally, I need my car to get to work, and I need to have a place to be able to park it. Of course, I believe that people who, especially senior citizens that can't afford housing, need to have housing. It's not an either or, but I just think it's not fair that tax-paying middle-class people who have cars and need to use them in the city are being punished. It's what it seems like to me. I don't understand why this project can't add a parking garage somewhere to accommodate everybody. Thank you.
Thomas Lopez Pierre, followed by John Moscow, followed by Ignacio Ortega, and I'll get back.
Good evening. My name is Thomas Lopez Pierre. I recently ran for city council here in the 7th Council District. I want to thank the 3,200 voters that voted for me. I haven't lived in Manhattan Valley very long, only 19 years. I live in a Manhattan Valley Development Corporation building, and my fellow tenants have been there 40 and 50 and 60 years. So I'm basically the kid in the building. I tend to be the kind of person that says impolite things. So I'm just going to keep being myself, which is I've heard a undercurrent of what I think is classism and racism in this room and in other events concerning this issue. I stand in support with West Side Federation, not because I've drunk their Kool-Aid, but because for the first time I get to support an institution that actually is committed to affordable housing, that actually has a record of providing that service and has improved this community. I am concerned about the zoning issue, and I am fearful that I'm speaking. I'm speaking. Woman, I'm speaking. That's rude.
Maybe that's why you want
It's rude. It's speaking. I'm speaking. I want 15 seconds back. Thank you. As I was saying, I strongly support what Federal West Side is doing. However, I believe that this project, if not watched carefully, could be the Trojan horse for letting other projects of this community that we don't want. So while I'm 110% with West Side Federation, we need to make sure that this is not. I want 5 seconds back.
Just keep talking.
No, I don't want to be interrupted.
Then you came to the wrong place.
No, this is a democracy.
Everybody else.
So as I was saying, here is the final thing that I'll say on this issue. My fear is that we'll get a mayor one day, corrupted by real estate campaign contributions, that will allow city-owned property, like maybe, I don't know, a senior home, to be sold off for a private real estate development. We need to take this garage, and this issue of cars and people is nonsense. Of course, people matter more than cars. And I'm sorry to the people that have cars. You just have to find somewhere else to park them. Human lives are always more important than your vehicle. What we need is, no, I'm almost done. Come on. But the point that I want to make is that we need to support this project before a private developer comes in with a new mayor and puts in private development, high-income housing. Thank you very much.
Ignacio Ortega and Arthur Perez to follow up with Mr. Moscow. Thank you.
My name is John Moscow. Was born and raised here. Lived here all my life, longer than anyone who's spoken or at least identified their age. I went to 165. I went to the School of Musical Education. I live here. I am aware of the fact that the city of New York, which was unified in 1898, is a living organism. It has many parts, and it cannot be all one thing. When you push for too much of one thing, you give up another. When you push for affordable housing in place of garages, you're telling the people who work in the stores they can't drive to work. You're telling the people who live here, whose jobs are not convenient on the subway, that they can't get to work. This is not what is good for the city of New York. I understand personally that people need a place to live. There are more people living in the city than have ever been living in the city. We have to work on that. But it is not the case that you should find some other place to put your car. Manhattan is 22 square miles. It's finite. There is no other place. We have to think this through and be not emotional, not rhetorical, not dishonest, but intelligent. Let's think through what we are going to do to get a proper balance between people, the way they transport themselves, the way the people who sell them goods get to work, the way the doctors get to the hospital. These are factors we have to consider all together, taken as one, not with, let's be in favor of something good, but let's consider what the costs are in terms of other goods. Thank you.
Ignacio Ortega, are you here? Ignacio? Arthur Perez? No, Ignacio Ortega. Last call for Ignacio Ortega.
Is it better? Still, please.
Jeff Klein and Lynn Max, if you could be up on deck.
Hi, I'm here as a resident of the area. I'm not affiliated with WSFSH or one of WSFSH's service providers. My issue with this project, and I thought a lot about it, is simply that it frames the argument as either or. And I think that taking 700 cars, dumping them on the street without any plan for them, and replacing what is currently a series of businesses that pay good money to the city with housing which will be taxpayer funded and supported without looking at the impact of these cars is a mistake. There is an alternative, I feel. There are plenty of open spaces in the neighborhood. One could, for example, look at the Douglas houses where who's calling me a racist? Who?
Don't take the bait.
This guy is outrageous. What I would say is that you can put parking on grade. You can take on grade parking at Douglas houses, and you can build housing on top of that on grade parking. You don't have to tear down buildings. It doesn't make any sense to tear these buildings down. There are alternatives. I simply ask that the city explore them. Thank you.
Our next speaker,
Jeff Klein. Somebody please get security.
Absolutely.
If we can't be civil in this room, you have no place being here. Now calm down. We have a lot of people. This affects all of us. Please be civil. Jeff Klein, Lynn Max.
Get him out of here. Well, people racist.
Here's the story. Here, Roberta.
We can't have this.
Community Board 7 likes to conduct civil meetings. We will be very unhappy to have to end this meeting without hearing from everybody because a few people want to be disrupted. So I will ask everybody to keep their thoughts to themselves. If you don't like what someone said, go like this. If you like what they say, go like that. I do not want to hear a lot of noise. Do not clap. let's just get on with this. Let's respect each other. We all don't have the same opinion. This is a time for everyone to speak. Anyone that's not here or didn't get to speak has until November 19th to submit written testimony to our website. I guess it would be through office at CB7.org. You can email it to office at cb7.org. In the meantime, I ask everyone to stay calm and just be polite.
Okay, well, I'll be very short. My wife and I have been residents of the website for over 45 years, and I just want to speak out for the idea of compromise, for the idea of evaluating all issues. As the man before I said, you got to look at the various kinds of angles. Oh, can anybody hear me now? Better? Yeah. Okay, I don't see any reason with assuming that is the correct location, and some people question that. There's that particular block, which is a long, long city block, can't have both affordable housing and parking. I see absolutely no reason for that at all. Also, my wife and I run Upper West Side Recycling, which is an environmental issue. We publish a newsletter, so I'm very concerned with environmental issues. The brownfield issue was just brought up. I can just see people driving around for hours and hours with the park space because it's very difficult. It's also city bike spaces that take up all kinds of park. It's not impossible to park in this area here anymore. So I just would like this to be very carefully considered, rather than railroading it through. Some people are making a lot of money out of this project, and I think the city's part of that process, and I think it should be very carefully considered before any decision is made.
Followed by Stephen Pizzuto.
Good evening. My name is Lynn Max. I'm a resident of 315 Riverside Drive. I've been there since 1977. I'm speaking in support of WSFSH at West 108. In the mid-1980s, I was the director of a contract management unit in the part of the Human Resources Administration that provided services to the homeless. The contract management unit negotiated contracts with not-for-profit agencies for drop-in centers, medical services for the homeless, and transitional shelters, and monitored the qualities of the services provided. It was my honor and privilege to work with Laura Jervis, then Executive Director of WSFSH, to develop the first service contract for Valley Lodge. Valley Lodge opened in May of 1988, and from the very beginning, it provided exceptional services. Staff accepted all referrals without hesitation and provided the medical, mental health, and social services to stabilize the formerly homeless clients and move them toward permanent living arrangements, all done with respect for the individual. Since its inception, Valley Lodge has placed over 1,500 formerly homeless older persons into permanent housing. Today, WSFSH manages 24 buildings, now 25, I guess, with over 1,700 units of housing. One, the Westbourne, is 2 blocks from my apartment. The Westbourne is a well-managed, supported SRO, housing very low-income and formerly homeless individuals. It's a testament to the skills and dedication of the WSFSH and its staff that the residents are very well integrated into the community. In an ideal world, the city and state would take strong action to preserve and create sufficient affordable housing. They would enact restrictions to prevent Mitchell-Lama housing from becoming privatized and put an end to vacancy control. And they would use land, such as existed in the Hudson Yards, to finance and build 100% affordable units instead of more housing for the wealthy. But that's not the reality of the moment. Reality is there an opportunity to create 194 desperately needed units of permanently affordable housing for low-income families and seniors, developed and managed by one of the most respected agencies in the city.
Our next speaker, Stephen Pizzuto, followed by Judy Steed, followed by Stephen O'Gallagher. If you're here, could you come up, please?
Good afternoon. My name is Steve Fuller, so I apologize. My handwriting isn't as good as it probably could be. I am the general counsel and member of the board and also volunteer with the Central Park Medical Unit. Some of you may know us. We've been around for about 45 years. We give absolutely free medical service in Central Park. Have never charged the patient and never will if we can avoid doing that. Unfortunately, one of the costs that comes along with that is the inability to raise funds. And the 108th Street garage, some of you may or may not know, has been a site of storage of a couple of our ambulances for a number of years. The good graces of the people who own that garage, it was done absolutely free of charge. When we're told that the garage was coming down, we approached the Wishby, and they were graciously able to change their plans to accommodate our ambulances and also to provide us with meeting spaces. Now, as the Central Park Medical Unit, we can't take a position yay or nay against the project. It's not appropriate for us to do that. However, we just did want to express our gratitude to Wishby for accommodating what would have otherwise been a very difficult situation for us. So thank you very much, and I appreciate it.
Judy Steve, followed by Stephen O'Gallagher, followed by Mary Lou Stepaker.
I had the privilege, my name is Judy Steed. I had the privilege of only spending 7.5 months at Valley Lodge. I have never had an experience quite like it. I hope that you will allow other people somehow to be graced with this experience. It was a privilege. They have the finest staff and the finest support system for all of us. We are so lucky. And I have only been in the area now for 4 years. I live down here in a Riverside building. But I can tell you, proof of the pudding, the staff makes every bit of difference in the world. Thanks to all of you, and particularly Karen Jorgensen. Thank you. We love you. We love you. Please keep us, please give them the opportunity to expand this building. As I said, before the last meeting, we're very cramped in that building. I hate to see it go. I could be the first one lying in front of the bulldozer because they better not tear it down. I had too many happy memories there, frankly. And 3 and 4 to a room, they make it wonderful. And Karen, you talk about the environmental impact. I think we're one of the first people to have to recycle food, recycle bins. And Karen was bribing us with a pizza party. She's very devious. You have to watch Dodgy. She's very good to watch her. But she knows how to work things. She'll make it like gold.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stephen Gallagher, followed by Mary Lou Stepaker, followed by Thomas Howell.
Thank you. This is all about money. That's all this is about.
Thank you.
There are a whole set of people who don't have it and need it and need a place to live. And I feel very sorry when I first came to the US. I was shocked by the divide. In fact, I was shocked by how few rich people there were, because on television, all you see is rich people living in big houses of all colors, right? And how actually very few there really are, and how very large number of poor people there are. And you can see that if you look at the American, how the budget is spent. Most of the money that is spent in the US is spent on social payments of some form or another. More than is spent in the UK, France, Sweden, anywhere else. So there are plenty of places to put car parks. We need to find some people in the city who are paying taxes, who can afford to have a car and want to have that lifestyle, need a place to put their car, like it or not. They're the people who are paying excess taxes in, so that the people who don't have as much money can get something out of the system. If you take away the ability for people who are paying excess tax to have a decent life in the city, they will leave. This has happened in Chicago. Chicago is about to go bankrupt. It's happened in Detroit. It's happening elsewhere. It's happening in Philadelphia, which is why you see there are people who are moving up here from Philadelphia because they want a better life for their family, which is fair and reasonable. There just needs to be some way for everybody to figure out how to do it. I have children. We do sport outside the city. I park my car in those garages. If I can't park my car, I will simply leave the city. I will take my taxes with me. I've lived and worked all over the world. I can live and work anywhere in the planet these days. That's welcome to the world of the internet. If you want someone to pay the taxes so that you can have an equal, fair, and diverse population, which is one of the fantastic things about living up at Columbia University, you need to do with it.
Mary Lou Stepaker, followed by Thomas Powell, followed by Elisa Wallman.
Good evening, everybody. I'm happy that so many people came tonight. and I didn't expect to be called up to talk. But I've known Karen Jorgensen for many years now, and the work that they've been doing at Valley Lodge is really wonderful, and it's necessary. And what's happening in this city and all over the place is that for senior citizens, your income keeps on going down, but your costs keep on going up. So you are forced into poverty, even if you are middle class, so to speak. And it's a very serious problem. And we need affordable housing. Oh my goodness. What is affordable housing? Affordable for who? I've lived in the city for almost 60 years, okay? 59 years and 8 months actually. And I've had to find all kinds of housing. All right, now I live in an apartment, probably the smallest apartment in the city of New York. It's less than 200 square feet. And it was termed as 2 rooms. It's not. It's a very small studio apartment. And I've never been able to get a larger apartment because I am single. I'm a musician, professional musician, and so that's what's happening. So we need cars, we need living things, and we need income. That's that.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thomas Powell, last call. Oh, followed by Elisa Wallman, followed by Stan Reisman.
Hi, my name is Tom Powell. I'm a resident of 255 West 108th Street. I am an operator of a commercial photography business, and I depend on my vehicle for my livelihood. Because it's a commercial vehicle, I cannot park it on the street. I don't have an alternative at this point except to close my business. There's not a parking garage that can accommodate my car within a 40-block radius of this neighborhood. So not only am I losing my livelihood, but the 10 people who depend on my business for their livelihood are going to have to find alternate employment. So my question is, why is it being positioned as car owners or business owners, tax-paying business owners, versus people who need housing? This argument shouldn't be between these groups. This argument should be taken to City Hall and addressed as unfair because they're not dealing with the inequity for people who need their livelihood, who depend on their vehicles for that. So my question is, why can't we address this issue on an equal basis? And the reason is because the city doesn't want to find alternative spaces for this facility. I'm not objecting at all to low-income housing. I think it's great in the neighborhood myself. Now that my car is being evicted, I'm probably not going to have to move too. And I love this neighborhood. So my question is, why are we fighting each other? Why can't we find a common ground, take it to City Hall and say, this isn't working? That's all I gotta say.
Followed by Stan Reisman, followed by Tom Keogh.
Hi, my name is Elisa Wallman. I'm the Director of Community Programs at the Institute for Family Health, a federally qualified health center network that has been providing comprehensive medical care in medically underserved communities in New York City for more than 30 years and upstate New York for more than 10 years. We also operate 3 residency training programs in family medicine and a number of health promotion programs. In New York City, the Institute offers primary care, behavioral health care, and dental care at 9 full-time health centers, 5 school-based health centers, 6 sites that care for people who are homeless. Services are available for people regardless of their insurance status, or their ability to pay, and for people of all ages. The Institute has been working with the Westside Federation for Senior and Supportive Housing, WSFSH, since 1990, when we began providing services at Valley Lodge. An Institute family physician provides primary care there 2 days a week, working closely with the Valley Lodge staff to coordinate services. On average, we provide 1,000 primary care visits to residents of Valley Lodge each year. I've personally worked very closely for the past 27 years with the staff at Valley Lodge, coordinating the Institute's on-site health services, and I can attest to what everybody has said tonight about the commitment of the staff there. The Institute is thrilled to be part of the WSFSH project. The Institute will occupy roughly 5,000 square feet of community space for healthcare, serving both the residents of the new building and the community at large. The Institute has a history of developing health centers in collaboration with community partners and looks forward to working with the Upper West Side and Manhattan Valley community to help meet its primary care health needs. As a longtime community partner, WSFSH will help make this block more vibrant, pedestrian-friendly place that will promote health and well-being of the entire neighborhood. WSFSH has a strong track record of designing and building and managing complex developments in residential neighborhoods. The Institute is happy to support WSFSH in this.
Thank you. Stan Reisman.
Stan Reisman,
Reisman, sorry, followed by Tom Keogh.
255 West 108th Street, 35 years. Valley Lodge is a great place. I've been a social worker, state hospital, mental health agencies, help people find affordable housing, including people from Valley Lodge. I also work for a living, garage my car there. I think we need to find a solution that will not force me out of the neighborhood I've lived in for 35 years and help people in Valley Lodge, continue to find housing. But I should not be forced out of the neighborhood where I've raised my family. Thank you.
Tom Keogh, followed by William Breedlove.
I'm
Tom
here.
Keogh. Thomas has gone sending his testimony. Thank you.
William.
William Breedlove. I should just say that at this stage, we have about 35 more speakers. So I'm proud to say that our last speaker has to be 5 minutes before 9:30 so we can moose. So I'm just going to encourage you, we want to hear your voice and your testimony, but if you can be shorter, just to guarantee that we can hear everyone, because that's 70 minutes, and we might make it. But I just encourage you to be brief so we can hear you all. That's the most important thing this evening. Thank you.
Hi, my name is William Breedlove. I live on 102nd Street, and today I speak in support of WSFSH at West 108 from my various perspectives as a member of the Manhattan Valley community. I'm a self-employed residential real estate agent and acutely aware that affordability in housing is challenging to nearly all residents. I'm motivated, therefore, to volunteer weekly with organizations providing food and or shelter in our neighborhood. I also participate in comparable programs as a lay leader at Fifth Avenue Presbyterian Church. Our church and Valley Lodge partnered with the Church of the Ascension on West 107, and then with West End Presbyterian Church on West 105, in sheltering 10 men at a time for 4 months over 6 consecutive winters. During these periods and through the services of Valley Lodge, 94 individuals moved from being unsheltered on our streets into transitional and permanent housing. Faith-based congregations view housing as a basic human right, not just a commodity. This conviction is grounded in our view of the responsibility of society to protect every person by providing the conditions where human life and dignity are enhanced rather than undermined. Homelessness and inadequate housing damage lives, undermine families, and hurt our community. I believe we simply can't rely on government alone for solutions to these challenges. The goal of community life is inclusion, not exclusion. We have a commitment to support solutions to rent insecurity and homelessness in our neighborhood. WSFSH at West 108 offers one targeted solution that specifically addresses the multiple needs we face in Manhattan Valley.
Andrea Cianfrani, to be followed by Catherine Dunham.
Good evening. I'm Andrea Chanafrani from Live On New York. Our members are nonprofits that serve older adults now in New York City. We believe aging creates momentum and seniors are powering the economy and driving civic engagement, as evidenced clearly here tonight. And that we also firmly believe that affordable senior housing and services allow seniors to stay in the communities that they help build. As found in Live On New York's 2016 study, more than 200,000 low-income seniors in New York City are on wait lists for affordable housing. This crisis is intensified as the cost of renting or purchasing apartments and the cost of living continues to rise, which is particularly detrimental to seniors who often live on a fixed income. As an update, Live On New York found over 19,000 seniors on waiting lists in the community districts 7 and 9. At an overall response rate of 44% to the survey, it's estimated upwards of 44,000 seniors are waiting in these buildings with an average wait of 10 years. That is too long. WSFSH has a long history of helping seniors with housing and community development, consistently working to promote neighborhoods and communities. We're proud to stand here to support their work and this project. Thank you for taking into the needs of seniors in your decision making. You know, it's very important. Thank you.
Catherine Dunham, to be followed by Edward Uberian. Catherine Dunham, is she here? Edward Uberian.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. My name is Edward Ubiera. I'm the Policy Director for the New York City program of the Local Initiative Support Corporation, otherwise known as LISC. LISC is a national nonprofit community development financial institution. We have a 40-year presence in New York City. We've helped to finance over 40,000 units of legally and permanently affordable housing in partnerships with mission-driven organizations like WSFSH, local government, as well as philanthropy. We support the West 108th Street project. We have a 30-year partnership with WSFSH. They have a very strong track record as a developer, manager, service provider, and community partner through the successful ownership and management of over 1,700 units of housing spanning 24 properties across Manhattan and the Bronx. Building affordable senior housing with services is a citywide imperative that cuts across every community board. As our partners that Live On New York just indicated, older New Yorkers are now the fastest growing segment of the city's population. There are over 200,000 seniors on housing waiting lists, often waiting over 10 years for housing. The Upper West Side, with a senior population approximating 20%, likely has thousands of seniors on waiting lists. Across the city, 1 in 5 seniors live in poverty, and upwards of 100,000 seniors spend more than 50% of their income on rent. Over the many decades, WSFSH has continually operated with high degrees of excellence and integrity. We strongly encourage Community Board 7 to support the planned development of West 108th Street. Thank you and good night.
Cassie Madden, to be followed by Mark Greenberg. Cassie? Going once, going twice? Mark Greenberg.
I'll try to be brief. I'm here to support the project, though I certainly understand the concerns regarding parking, and I do hope that some kind of compromise will be found. I know that we have very creative, committed people in this room, and I think we can find a way. But let me just say that as the director of the Interfaith Assembly on Homelessness and Housing, my work is for the last 30 years has been committed to helping those who are homeless to find housing and people to stay in their homes. I've been working with WSFSH since I began my work, and I don't think anyone can find a more profoundly committed group to the issue that we're all concerned about. So I believe that there's good intent here, and I think we can trust that they will do everything they possibly can to make this work. But clearly with this crisis of homelessness, the hundreds of units of affordable housing that this project will provide will be a lifesaver
to many of our neighbors, and it is crucial that we move forward on this as best we can. Thank you.
Dan Cohen, to be followed by Pierre Constant. Good news, we found Cassie Madden. She's handing us her testimony in. Thank you. So we have Dan Cohen. Dan Cohen.
He's gone.
Pierre Constant. Constant. Margaret Liu, L-E-W. Oh, okay. Margaret.
I'm Margaret Liu. I've lived in Park on West 107th Street for 37 years. Most developers in the city are creating lucrative projects for the top 10, 20, 30%, the financially privileged. We see this all around us. Do they have the scale and life of our communities in their hearts? I don't think so. What a rare thing it is to have an organization, an extremely competent one, with a very good track record, developing something for citizens of this city with lesser means. About parking. I use my car for work, and I have noticed all the ways the city has restricted traffic, taken away parking spaces, making it harder to have a car in the city. This is good. Cars are not the future. I haven't heard this said yet. That's why I say it's solely. Our young people are owning cars less and less. Let's imagine alternatives to cars rather than hang on to outmoded and polluting technologies. Let's look at the bigger picture. New technologies are emerging. What does the future hold? I see far fewer privately owned vehicles. I see shared vehicles, eventually driverless, that don't need to be parked on your street or around the corner in a parking garage. Please, again, cars are not the future.
Thank you. Lewin Bonilla.
Luz Bonilla.
Marvin Nierenberg. Marvin Nierenberg. Oh. Followed by Mary McAuliffe.
Notice a lot of people were in this room wearing baseball caps, most of them white, supporting the project, I believe. Not too many baseball caps, 50 people opposing it, but if I had 2 baseball caps, I'd wear both of them tonight. Because I have sympathy and feelings for the people who have spoken on both sides of this issue. I own a car. I keep it in the garage on the Upper West Side. I have had to move my car from each of 3 garages, and I hope I can stay in the present one for a while longer. You can find space if you need to. However, I also, I'm not using my car. I'm working as a psychiatrist part-time at Valley Lodge on a volunteer basis. I've been doing it for about 25 years, and I can vouch for the integrity and the value of this wonderful organization, which is the umbrella organization which contains Valley Lodge. It's a wonderful place. The staff of the lodge hardly turns over at all. I never see any new hires because the people stay on for years and years. Some of them have been formerly homeless people themselves. So I just want to leave you with this comment about the value of this project. I understand the cost of it to those of you who park the cars and live in the neighborhood, but I think with some compromises things will work out. Thank you.
Mary McAnulty. Is Mary here? No. Okay. You go. It looks like Danielle Smith. Somebody with the last name of Smith? Danielle, okay. Danielle. Oh my gosh. Ruined that. Yes, thank
Yeah,
you.
that's-
Danielle. Oh my gosh.
So you're gonna
Nothing
spell that
about
before you start, right?
I'm an architect, we'll work on that. Glad
What's your last
you're
name,
back.
sir? Yeah, Donald. Donald. Yes.
Followed by Sandra Roche. Sandra? Followed by Rachel Rankin.
Yes, my name is Donald Smith, and I'm a resident of Valley Lodge at 149 108th Street. I have been there since April 8, 2017, 6 months now. I've been at Valley Lodge before. They helped me with a place of stay in February 2013. Unfortunately, my place got molded and flooded, and the landlord there did nothing to fix it. My health was at risk, so I reached out to Valley Lodge Senior Shelter, and they allowed me to come back to help me obtain a safer, permanent residential place to live in. I became homeless because of my disability. After I got laid off from my job, I was told by my parents when I was a child that doctor said I had arthritis at an early age. I struggled with joint pains at work until I was told by supervisors, sorry, I had to let you go. You moved too slow. Because of my slow mobility, I was not able to continue to work to support myself. My CD and bonds and other investments quickly dissipated due to not being able to find a job suitable to my disability. Thus, I lost my residency. After I lost everything, I went to different shelters and drop-in centers, Bellevue in Lower Manhattan, Campbell in Brooklyn, by the L train, just to name a few. In short, I went to about 6 different places. None of these places had any respect for the elderly, especially the homeless people that were between the ages of 18 through 35 years of age. So for a couple of years, I refused help from shelters.
Thank you. Thank you for your Rachel Rankin, to be followed by Marion Phyllis Cunningham. Here's Sandra. Sandra Roach.
I'll be very brief. I'm Sandra Roach. I lived in Manhattan Valley for my entire adult life, and that's a long time. I have 2 things I want to add to the discussion tonight. One is about affordable housing. I'm in very strong support of this project. I work with a Head Start program in Manhattan Valley, and what we have seen in the last 10 years is the erosion and loss of affordable housing in our neighborhood. More and more of our families are living in worse and worse living conditions. They are doubled up and tripled up in apartments. You see a whole family living in one room and 2 and 3 families sharing a kitchen. The need for affordable housing is crucial in this neighborhood. As an elderly person myself, I speak in support of this project. There's nothing more important I see for my own life. What I want to do is end up my life in my neighborhood where I can go to the stores, I know the guy on the corner, where I know the people on the block, I have neighbors. I don't want to be shipped off someplace to some senior residence in another borough or another part of Manhattan. And I think that our seniors here deserve an opportunity to do the same thing.
Rachel Rankin. Rachel. Marion Phyllis Cunningham. followed by Joey Sicali.
I'm going to be very brief. I just want to say that I am in support of the Wish Fish project and have seen all the Wish Fish projects grow over the 49 years that I've lived in this community. And I must say, I see some people here who remember the Committee to Save Manhattan Valley, which was instituted 47 years ago and really worked to save the valley so that it has become the wonderful place that it is today. I have worked in many community issues, all the way from daycare centers and to affordable housing, including illegal displacement of tenants. And I've seen so many people displaced and have to leave Manhattan Valley. So we need Wish Fish. And I think that it can be done effectively, safely, and I know Wish Fish will take into consideration the need for parking if they can fit it in. I see people shaking their heads, but if I know Wish Fish, they will do the best that they can. Thank you.
Joey Ciotti.
Is Joey here?
C-I-O-T-T-I. Joey Ciotti.
Next.
Peter Arnson.
Hey, Peter.
Okay, start?
Yeah.
Okay, so, sorry that I didn't get a chance to hear people in the very beginning, just a little bit crowded. But we're being asked to look into the future. This neighborhood has been host to innovative caring institutions for over 150 years. It had the first cancer hospital, first women's hospital, had a daycare that was the basis for the Head Start program. It had the very first community health center in this U.S., and it had a senior citizen center that was the model for the Department for the Aging. It has been a home for diverse, various people for over a century. I've been privileged to meet some of the old-time Irish and German that were here when I first came. The Caribbean, Mexican, South and Central Americans, Asians, blacks, and whites of many backgrounds, young and old, people struggling and people of privilege. My life is richer for it, and the area is also. Things are changing, and the world is changing. New York City's population is increasing, and a lot of us are aging. Cars have made the city less livable. We have lessened the impact of cars in this neighborhood with tree planting and care, and have made the area more livable. Now we all need to become more active in providing care for others in hopes that it will be there when we need it. Thank you.
I think it's Macendo. Last name is Macendo. Edmundo Macendo. Okay. Stephen Lopez. Oh, the address, if that helps people understand. Oh, 101st Street. 101st Street? Oh, okay. No. Oh, but you're the next one. You get a prize. Stephen Lopez. You win bingo.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Lopez, and I'm here just to express my gratitude to Larry Lodge. I do not know much about Wish Fish or the Federation or anything, but directly I'm grateful to Larry Lodge. They have given me shelter for the last 1 year, and I have been in different shelter houses prior to coming here, and I did not get any kind of help that I'm getting back from here. And the specialty of today, when I decided to speak, is that they have helped me to move to a independent housing. I just now I got an acceptance to an independent house, and I'm moving to my own apartment with their help. And I thank you. I thank you, Mr. Welcome from the director and the efficient and hardworking staff within the supporting them. And thank you so very much, and God bless you all. One more word, please. Just one more word. Please do not compare me to the cars. I have read something. Give Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and give God what belongs to him. Keep what belongs to the street on the street, and don't throw your fellow human beings on the street. Thank you.
Divine Alexis, followed by Eric Kennerly. No
Divine?
Divine?
No. Okay, well, fine.
Eric Kennerly.
Eric? No, Eric.
No Eric. Cole Joseph Scalisi or Scalise. Can you go get that? Carl.
Thank you very much. My name is Carl Joseph Scalisi. I live at West 109th Street, right behind the biggest of the garages. I've been living there for about 7 years on 109th Street itself. Since the neighborhood has gone down and come back, I've been there, and I've seen what's happened in the past. And the problem is now we have an invasion by a company called Corso or Back Group. And those buildings they have on the west side, about 100 of them, between 115th Street and approximately 105th, east of Amsterdam, and some west of Amsterdam. And they're not affordable, these buildings. And I don't know when people come across, we have 50% affordable housing on the west side, because I don't see it. Anyway, I don't see much problem with the demolition of buildings. The environmental impact will be minimal because of regulations by the buildings department and demolishing and construction. I consider the more of the problem on the west side in the city is the fumes of cars. The pollution from automobiles should be concerned more than demolishing buildings and construction. I'm in favor of these affordable housing and garages, and this site and project does both. In my opinion, the opposition to this project is motivated, I'll put it this way, motivated by politics and not in my backyard with garages of cars. Because there's going to be sometime in the future, buildings being built on 106th and maybe 104th, and there'll be availability for garages. I thank you very much.
Michael Yellen, followed by Susan Nuts.
I don't normally read testimonies, but I'll take up less time if I read. I'm Michael Bialik. I'm the Director of Real Estate for Equal Home for the Aged at Riverdale. I'm also a resident at 170 West End Avenue and 69th Street. Just a couple of days ago, they broke ground for a 666 foot building right next to a school. It's on 200 Amsterdam Avenue. That's right in front of my building. But anyway, I've been developing programs and for seniors and affordable housing for the last 42 years. And when I started looking at what the needs were and justifying the need for these projects 42 years ago, I was amazed at how needy seniors were for affordable housing and for healthcare. In my last 4 buildings that I built, I was amazed that they were immediately filled. After the first year, there was a 3-year waiting list. And then a few months after that, it grew to 7 years. That fast. So in the last 40 years, what I thought was a dramatic need has exponentially grown. We heard this before that there's 200,000 seniors on waiting lists. That is true. Tomorrow, the mayor is going to be announcing a project, a goal to set 30,000 seniors, affordable housing units over the next 12 years. Hebrew Home is co-developing with its partner a similar project to Wishfish. Yet I looked at Paul Freitag for advice. Oh.
Hi, I'm Susan Nutt. I've lived on the Upper West Side for 30 years, and I'm 97 for 4 years. And I'm speaking in support of Wishfish at West 100 Main. As an architect, I support the project and have learned about the ways it will work for the community. Public restrooms for the playground, storage units for the local ambulance corps, health services, and a community center. Right now, it's an underutilized block, and its development will help reconnect it to the community at large. I do not agree that reducing the number of cars will be bad for the neighborhood economy. On the contrary, fewer cars means healthier air for people to breathe, improved walkability, and a more comfortable experience of the streetscape for stores and restaurants. The addition of new residential buildings for community services will help enliven the block and improve safety and livability to the benefit of the surrounding neighborhood. It also will provide more customers for the local businesses. Also, I believe this is a beautifully designed, contextual building. It is within the parameters of existing building heights in the neighborhood, and it steps back to ensure that the block will continue to enjoy ample sunlight with no shadows on the nearby ball field where children. Thank you. Bruce Kaufman, followed by Tanya Savio.
Uh-oh. Don't nobody go nowhere. Hold on.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Thank you. The computer just did a little joke on me.
My name is Bruce Kaufman. My wife and I have lived in the West Side for more than 35 years. Neither of us were born and raised in New York. We came here by choice, with fame and fortune, and a better future than what we had back there. And I've owned a car here. I have lots of stories about adventures of parking on the street. I'm here for the two of us because we strongly support this project. And for two reasons. One, by chance, completely by chance, we happened to become involved with Valley Lodge and have 20 years ago and have gotten to know and have a number of residents there and now alumni as well. And as well as Karen Jorgensen. These are some of our best and longest friends. And that place has been very effective about changing lives and creating futures for people who did not think they had a future. That's one reason. Two, the lack of affordable housing in New York City is one of the three greatest threats to the future prosperity of this city. If there is not affordable housing on all levels, there is no future for New York City. So any project that increases the amount of affordable housing in New York is good for everyone who's in New York or who wants to come to New York. Thank you.
Laura Jarvis. Followed by Linda Prudhomme.
My name is Laura Jarvis. I'm the former executive director of Wishfish, and so you won't be surprised to know that I support the project. So
So I'm going to read so that I don't go off script, right? The members of the board and the historians in the room will recall or know of the fact that the the Cathedral Parkway Urban Renewal Plan encompassed the north side of 108th Street, which included the current Valley Lodge and the 2 garages. The city took title to the garages and to the current Valley Lodge as part of the urban renewal plan. In the plan, it was clearly stated that the future of that site would be housing. And over the years, there were attempts to amend. There was amendments. There were attempts to amend even more, including an amendment that would have sold the garages for garage use. That was never passed by I don't know what the planning board's role in that was, but certainly the city said no to that. So what strikes me is that one of the reasons that there were 2 reasons, I think, that the urban renewal plan wanted this site to be housing. One was because they knew that there would be a need for housing. But secondly, and perhaps more importantly, they also knew that part of the plan and other areas of the plan, many families were dislocated from the neighborhood. And that by making sure this was housing, that it was some kind of effort to mitigate the harm that happened to those families that we don't know where they are now. So if you believe, I hope you believe that that history, that the arc of history is toward justice, there is a sense where housing on this site is a redemptive act and gets us closer to the justice that we all want.
Thank you. Linda Prudhomme and Robert Prudhomme.
Followed by Jane Johnson.
Oh.
Hi, I'm Linda Prudhomme, and I'm speaking against the project because I'm opposed to the granting of the variance for this project. In 2015, when I met Laura and first learned about the project, it was a 7-story project. I agreed to host a joint meeting of the Northwest Central Park Multi-Block Association in Detna. And at that meeting, we learned it became an 11-story project. For that reason, I'm opposed to this project. I'm opposed to granting the variance. We had that meeting in January of 2016. The change in the building design had gone from 7 stories to 11 stories, or a section of 11 stories. The maximum height for R8B is 75 feet. The maximum height for R8A is 120 feet. 10 years ago, the resolution passed unanimously by Community Board 7. Our Manhattan Valley small side streets were awarded the protection of R8 zoning. This was the result of many months of meeting after CB7 members saw the danger of proportion construction, such as Extel's high-rise on Broadway and Ideas. In 2007, 10 years ago, that CB7 vote approving R8 protective zoning was held right here in this room, chaired by Shelley Fine. To my knowledge, since instituted in 2007, there has not been a single variance allowed. The variance, which would change the zoning of many addresses on the north side of 108th Street between Columbus and Amsterdam from R8B to R8A, would be a dangerous precedent and could open the floodgates to other requests. I urge the members to reject the zoning variance request.
As you know, I am related to the last speaker. Both of us have lived here for a long time. And this evening's discussion and presentation has been tremendously enlightening for each of us. Hopefully to you as well, because we do share very different perspectives and come from different backgrounds. Thank goodness. I'm speaking against the variance, although it causes me and Linda tremendous difficulty in parting company with what we thought was a project we could be on board with. 7 stories with the conceptual zoning that they originally wanted, fine. It got really complicated after that when they tried to break the bank and somehow push more max into that particular block, which I don't believe is fair. Not just because the block would be a little bit too crowded, but more importantly, because the zoning regulations that were approved 10 years ago, a very solemn commitment for board members, including the panel that are sitting in front of me tonight. And I don't see how they can basically switch around what they thought was a terrific idea a few years ago and then change their minds this time. It's not clear to me why such an important protection of our side streets can be lifted in one instance and then prohibited in another instance. I know variances are actually lawful when granted legally, but I do not believe that the presentation of this developer meets the minimum criteria for granting that variance. Thanks.
Thank you. Jane Arego Johnson from Senator Alejandro's office. No. Laura Kaplan Wiseman. Is Laura here? Followed by Nathan Gebert. Is Nathan here?
Yep.
Hi, my name is Laura Kaplan Wiseman. I'm currently the primary care doctor at Valley Lodge. I'm here today to discuss my support for the WSFSSH project at 100th Street. While our communities have figured out ways to comprehensively care for the homeless, why haven't we figured out how to end homelessness? We spend some of our dollars that we're using to fight homelessness instead of preventing homelessness. This would really be a step in the right direction to end this problem. As a primary care doctor, prevention really speaks to me. It's the biggest part of the job that I do. I think it's very important for our community. Let's edit this to make this shorter. In my 3 years working at Valley Lodge, it is sobering to hear story after story after story about how New Yorkers from all walks of life have lost their housing and have moved to Valley Lodge. The current former residents have been teachers, or are currently teachers, lawyers, PhDs, factory employees, home attendants, artists, small business owners, former addicts, artists. They've come here when they lack all resources for housing. Many have lost their jobs, many are currently still employed, but they just can't afford their housing. Others have developed disability and can no longer work. Many spent their savings on medical bills for themselves or caring for someone else, and they're at Valley Lodge. Others have lost everything to dementia, there's no one to care for them, and Valley Lodge fills that role. Homeless adults suffer increased morbidity, mortality, and have worse quality of life compared to their peers. WSFSSH and Valley Lodge work incredibly hard at fostering an environment to support those going through the struggles of homelessness and placing everyone in permanent housing. Even when residents move, Valley Lodge continues to support them afterwards. They continue to help help patients get their medications, take their medications, go to doctor's appointments. They even serve as healthcare proxies for patients that are passing away and are very ill. It's truly a testament to how unique this organization is, that they're both caring for the current residents and people that have moved on. They serve meals to people that no longer live there. The staff just really goes above and beyond. I think WSFSSH does their best to make sure that the projects and what they do are safe and are looking at all different angles, and I really encourage you to support this project.
Hi, my name is Nathan Dever. For 23 years, I have lived on the top floor of 138 West 109th Street, directly behind the Valley Lodge and the proposed development. I will lose light and air and experience inconvenience should the project go ahead. I also park my car on the street, and the demolition of the garages might make that more difficult. I speak nonetheless to express my unambiguous support. We must do everything we can to create more affordable housing in this city. If I have to give something up to see that it is done, I am happy to do so. As New Yorkers, that is what we do for each other. And I am excited to welcome new people to the neighborhood that I love. By sharing, we only make it better.
Cynthia Clark, followed by Holly Seji. Cynthia? Holly. Holly?
Bingo!
Thank you very much. I would like to speak on behalf of the project. However, I have some serious suggestions to make. First of all, as an older member of the community, I've been living in the area for about 45 years old, and I still live in a walk-up building. It's a good exercise, to be sure, to climb up 64 stairs every day to get to my apartment and another 64 stairs to come down and to try to do this 2 or 3 times, sometimes even more, depending on my needs. So I love the neighborhood. I like to stay in the neighborhood, but I would like to stay at a place where life would be a little bit easier for me. So in that respect, I support the project. However, I have one serious reservation. I don't know how decisions are made about who gets what after the lottery is won for an affordable housing. I would like to be a participant as to how those decisions are made. So far, the income bracket for this housing has a number of limitations. For example, the income levels are between 21 to 26, and then 30 to 41, and then all of a sudden it jumps between 62 to 72. So I often ask myself, what happens to people who have an income bracket between 42 to 62? These are supposed to be some middle classes, and they are not being represented. I would be happy to help in any way I can. Thank you.
We're actually at the end of the list, but just because people may have missed their name, I'm going to do a roll call of those who did not respond earlier. If you're here, just shout and come up. Jose Caceres, David Zellman, Ricardo Rios, Henry Weinberger, Jane Margolis, Meg, Mildred Pacheco or Pacheco, Ava Myers, Judith Lynn, Ira Rubin, Mary Vidal, Jose Velez, Sarah Gear, Earl Gear, Tony Mangone, Ignacio Ortega, Ted Houghton, Tom Keogh, Catherine Dunham, Dan Cohen, Pierre Constant, Lewin Vanilla, Mary McAnulty, Rachel Rankin, Joey Ciotti, and we think it's Del Magno Macedo, Divine Alexis, Eric Kennedy, Tanya Savio, Jane Arendo Johnson, Cynthia Clark.
One last speaker. Before we do that, I just wanted to again thank everybody for coming and staying for such a long time. I especially want to thank our secretary, Mark Dillon, who's been incredible. And I want to thank Sherry and Matt Rosenberg, who have been our very wonderful timekeepers. And Paige is tail this meeting.
One last speaker, and then we'll take questions. How about that? David Isaacson?
Hello, I'll try not to hold things up too long. I just wanted to briefly express my strong support for the project and my concern with one of the sort of main counter arguments that I've seen. There actually are a poster now in the lobby of my apartment building talking about why we need all these parking spaces and how many cars are going to end up on the street. And I just, as a lifelong Manhattanite, I don't really feel like our borough is primarily for cars. This is primarily for people. And yeah, I know. We are more the transit borough. I sort of feel like people who feel that strongly about needing affordable parking as opposed to affordable housing should consider moving to one of the outer boroughs. We're good at piling people on top of each other to get more affordable space, and we should do that so that people can afford to live here, and this doesn't turn into San Francisco, which I like to visit very much, but where no one can afford to live. We are not in dire need of parking spaces. We need housing. So, thank you.
We have one question. Yes.
How much these people pay for parking space in those places? In 108th Street. Anybody knows?
It's in the neighborhood of, it's under $400 for a lot of the spaces, which compared to where I live in the 70s is a steal. Now I'm sure the people who pay the $400 don't find that to be a bargain because it's still an awful lot of money.
But I think it's less than that.
Well, some of it is, it depends, I think it depends in part on how long you've been there. But it's affordable relative to the market, and I think that's one of the reasons why.
Okay, so
It's
just for everybody, so I want to thank everybody for coming. I want to thank all the board members. We will hold another meeting on the 20th of November. We're going to start at 6:30. The public is more than welcome to come, but they will not be speaking. If the public wishes to comment, they can email us or snail mail us. The board will have a discussion. Wishfish and HPD will be here. You're more than welcome to come and listen. And we will have a board discussion, and then we will have a vote on the resolution.
I'm not sure if the venue has been decided on the November 20th. So look at your website. Thank you all for our presenter and Wishfish.
Not in this time. They looked at it and